Welcome, and I'd like to call to order the organizational meeting of the Akron Board of Education. My name is Ryan Pendleton, Treasurer CFO of Akron Public Schools. We have a few business items to take on first. I'd like to welcome those around the table in the audience, including our lawmakers, incoming board members, outgoing board members, past board members, staff, and the community. The organizational meeting following the general election offers the transition of the new board and the start of the new year for our board and district. We'll next have the roll call followed by the election of the President Pro Tem. Dr. Akbar?
Here.
Mr. Alexander?
Present.
Ms. Autry?
Present.
Mr. Bravo?
Present.
Dr. Hall?
Present.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Here.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Here.
Thank you. Item 1.4 on the board table is the election of the President Pro Tem. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Bruce Alexander as President Pro Tem.
We have a motion on the floor for the nomination of Bruce Alexander by Patrick Bravo. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions? For the election of President Pro Tem of Bruce Alexander, Dr. Akbar,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Autry,
Yes.
Mr. Bravo,
Yes.
Dr. Hall,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick.
Yes.
I'll turn the gavel over to Mr. Alexander.
It's your pledge.
Okay, we forgot to do one thing. We all need to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag Okay, in reference to 1.05, filling the vacancy board seat, resolution for Deanna, I'm sorry.
Order, sec 1.3.
Oath the office.
Okay, I'm sorry. 1.3. That is the oath of office, correct? Okay. Oath of office for newly elected board members. And we have, first of all, is Dr. Akbar. And Dr. Akbar, you can bring anyone you want up with you, and you can bring the person who's swearing you in as well. Where's the-
Thank you. Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Judge David Hamilton, and I am here to administer the oath of office to one of my good friends, Dr. N.J. Akbar. I've had the pleasure of working with him and knowing him throughout the community, and him, like the others that I'll be swearing in tonight, they all work so hard to be your elected official. And so it is truly an honor that I'm here to swear you in today on this special day for our community. Dr. Akbar, do you solemnly swear, raise your right hand, sorry. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will perform faithfully the duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Akron City School District, Summit County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereinafter to be enacted during the continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
I do.
Congratulations, Dr. Akbar.
Next, we have our swearing in is Derek Hall. Derek can bring up anyone he wants to bring up, and you'll be sworn in by Judge Hamilton.
Set. Raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will perform faithfully the duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Akron City School District, Summit County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereinafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified?
I do.
Congratulations, Mr. Hall.
And now we have Valerie McKintrick.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will perform faithfully the duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Akron City School District, Summit County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereinafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified? Congratulations.
Okay, now I guess I was moving ahead of myself. Now it's 1.5 to filling the vacancy of our seat. And that is, we have a resolution that we will be swearing in Deanna Autry as our board member. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any question? Roll call?
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Autry? You can bring anyone else you want up.
Thank you, Dariana. Ms. Autry, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will perform faithfully the duties as a member of the Board of Education of the Akron City School District, Summit County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereinafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified effective immediately and until December 31st, 2021?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Judge Hamilton. Now we have 1.7, which is election of president, and I open the floor for nominations for president.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Patrick Bravo for school board president.
Second.
Been moved and second for Patrick Bravo for president, moved and second. Any question? Any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, thank you. Roll call?
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Thank you.
And if I could, I'd like to ask Reverend Walker to come up as he swears in new leadership.
Go ahead.
Mr. Patrick Bravo, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will perform faithfully the duties as president of the Akron Board of Education to the best of your ability, in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Board of Education and laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office until your successor is elected and qualified?
I do.
Congratulations.
And at this time, we have the election of the vice president. We'll open the floor for nominations.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Dr. Akbar for vice president.
We have a motion for Dr.
Second.
N.J. Akbar. We have a second. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll close nominations. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bravo,
Yes.
Dr. Hall,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick,
Yes.
Dr. Akbar,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Autry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Dr. N.J. Akbar, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will perform faithfully the duties as Vice President of the Akron Board of Education to the best of your ability, in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Board of Education and laws now in effect and hereinafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office until your successor is elected and qualified? Yes, I do.
We are so blessed today to have so many of you in attendance for this special occasion. 2020 is a big year for the Akron Public Schools, and I couldn't be more excited to serve with my colleagues. I'm really looking forward to a great year and a lot of good work together. I would like to point out that we have so many elected officials and special guests and dignitaries in the office or in the room today. So what I'm going to do is just kind of start on the left. And many of you have noticed that there are many of these folks in the room. I'd like all of our former school board members who are here tonight to please stand up and be recognized. Thank you for your service and thank you for being here tonight. And because there are so many, I was really worried that I would miss someone or I would forget someone. So we are just going to kind of ask you to stand and be recognized. We have several members of the judiciary here today. If they could stand and be recognized. And we have with us several elected officials as well, city council, county council, and others. If you could all stand and please be recognized. We also have with us members of the Ohio House and Ohio Senate, former members of the Ohio House and Ohio Senate. If you could please stand. Give me a nod. Am I good, Lisa?
I think so.
Have I missed anybody? Former Judge Williams, of course, over here. Thank you. And we have several dignitaries, partners from around the community, from several of our partner organizations, particularly with our college and career academies. If you are here, I know Mr. Considine is. If you're here, please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your partnership. So tonight we're all here. I know many of you were here just for us and to see the musical chairs that we all played just a few minutes ago. But we all know why we're really here tonight. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Tonight, my friends, we're here to rejoice as our good friend, Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker, Sr., prepares to pass this gavel. He does so for the last time in what has been an incredible 2 decades of service to the Akron Public Schools and to the children and families that we serve. Tonight, we are here to rejoice. We are here to honor Reverend Walker for his commitment, dedication, and service to the district and to this community. And I would also like to personally offer, you're standing back there. I would like to personally offer him my deepest gratitude and appreciation for his leadership, his mentorship, and most importantly, for his friendship. If I may paraphrase, be shepherds to the flock that is under your care, watching over them not because you must, but because you are willing, not pursuing dishonest gain, but eager to serve, not lording it over those entrusted to you, but being an example, and one day you will receive the crown of glory that will never fade away. For 20 years, Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker, Sr. has been a shepherd to the flock. He has served faithfully not because it was required of him, but because he was willing. He did not pursue self-interest, but he was eager to serve his community, this board, the administration, our faculty and staff, and most importantly, the children of Akron Public Schools. He has been a model of servant leadership, a man whose commitment to his service was eclipsed, if ever it was, only by his commitment to his faith and to his family. For 20 years, he has been a steady and reliable figure on whom leaders in this community, including many in this room, could count and could depend on. And his support for public education is unrivaled anywhere in this state. He has been recognized by his peers at all levels, and you are hard-pressed to find anyone in education, in even the furthest corners of this state, who do not know Reverend Walker or do not have a story to tell about the impact he has had and the mark that he will leave. Tonight, we are here to rejoice, to celebrate Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker, Sr., and the impact his work has had on those closest to him, which will surely be felt for years and years to come. And we are grateful for your presence here and invite each of you to rejoice with us. Reverend Walker, thank you for your service. We appreciate it. At this time, I would like to invite my fellow board members to join me at the podium as we recognize the Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker with a resolution of appreciation. And as my colleagues join me, I'd like to remind the public that at our last meeting of the year in 2019, we dedicated this very room as the Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker Sr. Boardroom. Plaques have been installed outside of both doors on your way into the boardroom. Tonight, our board will honor Reverend Walker with a special resolution of appreciation, and we have a few special guests who have joined us to rejoice in his service as well. So I'm going to begin. Whereas Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker, Sr. has honorably served as a member of the Akron Board of Education for 5 terms for a total of 20 years from 2000 through 2019, providing stable, continuous, and effective leadership.
And whereas Reverend Walker effectively served as board president during 2006, 2010, 2011, and 2019, and whereas Reverend Walker diligently committed his time and leadership skills to 2 superintendent searches, which led to the successful appointments of Superintendents Dr. Sylvester Small and Dr. David W. James, as well as a treasurer search, which led to the successful appointment of CFO Treasurer Ryan Pendleton. And whereas during his tenure, Reverend Walker contributed to the district's successful construction project by serving on the Joint Board of Review, the board comprised of members of the City of Akron and the Akron City School District that oversees the Akron City Schools Imagine Akron $800 million building program, and celebrated the opening of every new community learning center, 33 of them to date. And
Whereas, during his tenure, there were numerous positive accomplishments within the district, some of the most notable ones as follow: implementation of programs to provide breakfast and lunch at no cost for all students district-wide, establishment of daily student health service clinics in all schools, expansion of school student transport to grade 9 to 12 using the Metro Transit system, implementation of Innovation Generation Scholarship GSI program,
opening of a new alternative middle school, the Akron Early College High School, the NIF-STEM Middle School, and STEM High School. Authorization of 2 schools as International Baccalaureate designated schools in the Firestone cluster, Litchfield and Resnick, with 2 more currently in the final process stages, King and Portage Path. Implementation of the World District-Wide Student Electronic Device Initiative, launch of the College and Career Academies of Akron, starting at North High School and moving district-wide.
I'm already overwhelmed. Consolidation of buildings throughout the district to reduce the financial footprint. Partnership with United Way and its bold goals. Partnerships and collaboration initiatives, including the I Promise School. Establishment of family resource centers. JAR partnership of essential experiences, field trips, and experiences for grades 2 through 5. New administration buildings, consolidating the admin staff from 70 North Broadway Street and 70 Steiner Avenue.
Establishment of a district engagement center in the new administration building. Establishment of a state-of-the-art professional staff development center within the new administration building. Grants from the Cleveland Cavaliers and Cleveland Browns for makerspace and turf football field. Establishment of student board members. And
whereas Reverend Walker's personal commitment, leadership, and concern for leadership for children have been profound and had an impact on the welfare of children throughout the city of Akron. And whereas on December 9th, 2019, the Board of Education, in honor of Reverend Walker's service, did name the boardroom at Sylvester Small Administration Building the Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker Senior Boardroom. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Akron City School District.
Section 1, that the Board of Education extends its sincerest thanks and gratitude to Reverend Walker for his exemplary service to the Akron Public Schools and to the Akron community. And Section 2, that this resolution be made a part of the permanent record of the Board of Education and that a copy be given to you. Thank you. But wait, there's more. And when you have 20 years of service to this district and its children, it is well-deserved. At this time, I know we have members of the state legislature here, Dr. Vernon Sykes and Amelia Sykes, and I would ask them to come up at this time, both of whom have proclamations for you as well.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I understand that there is many more things to get to on the agenda. I don't want to shortchange our good friend, Reverend Dr. Walker, and I also want to make sure I show off my Akron Public Schools reading skills and read a few lines of this commendation from the Ohio House of Representatives. So Dr. Walker, under the sponsorship of me, Amelia Sykes, the State Representative and a House Minority Leader, on behalf of the members of the Ohio House of Representatives of the 133rd General Assembly of Ohio, we are pleased to extend special recognition to the Reverend Dr. Curtis Walker. You have combined civic concern and dedication with selfless initiative throughout your 5 terms as a member and a past president of the Akron Public School Board of Education, and you have proven to be a dynamic leader in the area. This prestigious honor is a fitting tribute to you, for you have distinguished yourself as a conscientious and hard-working Ohioan through your exemplary efforts to build a stronger, more advantageous future for generations of Akron youth. Your wisdom, guidance, and sound judgment have been critical to the ultimate success of many innovative academic programs, and your diligence has made you an esteemed ambassador for Akron Public Schools. Thank you for your remarkable generosity. You have earned the respect and admiration of all of those with whom you have worked, and we applaud you on your exceptional service to your community. Thus, with sincere pleasure, we congratulate you on your recent distinction and salute you as one of Ohio's finest citizens. Thank you.
I want you all to notice that the Senate resolution is larger than that of the House. And I've been a strong advocate for public education. I think that there's no higher calling than one to shepherd our students, to nurture them to a more informed and a better future for them and for our whole community. But you being a minister, you do have a high calling. And I would say that being a champion for our children has been part of your ministry. So on behalf of the Ohio Senate, the 350 constituents from around here, as well as the 11.5 million constituents across the state, we want to say thank you. We appreciate it.
Although County Executive Eileen Shapiro could not be here this evening, County Council, or Eileen Shapiro, County Executive, did adopt a proclamation, and I would like to just read the part here. So many of this has been said tonight, but I love that she said, and whereas Dr. Walker's life has been enriched by his wife, Vanessa, 5 children, Will, Tracy, Rashara, Vanessa, and Curtis Jr., 16 grandchildren, and numerous friends and supporters. Now, therefore, I, she, Eileen Shapiro, Summit County Executive, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 13th, 2020, to be Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker Sr. Day in Summit County, and urge all citizens to recognize and honor this outstanding man and congratulate him for his 20 years of exceptional service and leadership as a member of the Akron Public Schools Board of Education, and wish him well as he continues to serve the citizens of Northeast Ohio. And she witnessed there her hand, Eileen Shapiro, Summit County Executive.
I was smiling because my wife and I are going to be saying to each other, where's that extra grandchild? You know we've got 15. I was wondering where the
Maybe somebody knows something you don't. And I believe we also, on behalf of Mayor Dan Horrigan, James Hardy, also former school board member.
So, point of personal privilege, but I'll keep it brief. I always like to say I got 2 degrees from Akron Public Schools, one from Firestone High School and the other from 6 years serving on this board. I grew up on the board, and for all intents and purposes, Reverend Walker was my spiritual guide through all of that. But what many people don't know is that he also married my wife and I. And so those 2 kids back there, both of whom were Akron Public School kids, have a lot to owe to Reverend Walker as well. But as only he, myself, and Chrissy know, it was an interesting time back in those days, and I will be forever grateful for not just his service, but our personal friendship that continues to this day. Every time I see him in Acme, it's never it's never what's going on downtown. It's how is Chrissy, how are the kids, and it's always been that way. So it's my privilege on behalf of Mayor Horgan, and I won't read all of it because many of it says the same thing, but just the final there. Whereas Reverend Walker is a true advocate for children, women, family, and most of all education. Now therefore, I, Daniel Horgan, Mayor of the City of Akron, Ohio, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 13th, 2020, as Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker Senior Day.
And finally, as we start to wrap this up, we have a few things for you, Reverend Walker. We have a copy of the plaque that now hangs outside on the board members' sort of wall of fame out there, as well as outside of the doors of this boardroom. And we'd like to present that to you as well. So, and if you want me to give it back. Yes. We also, because sometimes in your life, you just need to be able to bang the gavel. We'd like to present you with this gavel for you this evening. And then we have another gift as well for your commemorating your service here on the Akron Public Schools Board of Education. Thank you so much.
I am just overwhelmed and grateful for the opportunity to have served on this board for 20 years. It has gone by so fast. It's unbelievable. I just didn't realize how quickly time flies. But I know we have a lot, the board members have a lot to do. These new board members have a lot on their hands the remainder of the night. So I just want to quickly, I wrote down a few things. I do want to acknowledge members of the Ohio School Board Association, our regional manager, Mr. Capinelli, Reno, want to thank him. Want to thank those members of the OSBA Black Caucus who are present, Rena Klein and Rosalind Moore, president and immediate past president. Want to thank them for being here as well. But I wouldn't be here if it weren't for 2 gentlemen. And every time I have an opportunity to speak, Judge James R. Williams and the Reverend Dr. Ronald Fowler. I don't know what they saw in a young man who had just come from Montgomery, Alabama to pastor Wesley Temple Amy Zion Church, but they put their heads together and invited me to a meal, and the next thing I know, I was on the school board. So I want to thank them for their faith in me and allowing me to have this opportunity to serve. Thank you so very much for that. I want to thank my early committee, which some are not able to be here, Marion Key and Jody Delamar, and Mr. Lee Hunter, who was our treasurer. I want to thank those who've been always praying, Glenn Stevens and Jackie Silas Butler, Pamela Valentine. I want to thank the Sykes, Senator Vernon Sykes and Minority Leader Amelia Sykes. I want to thank the County Council our president of our city council, Margot Somerville, and all the members of the city council, county council. Want to thank Marco Somerville. We wrestled hard on the Joint Board of Review for many years. He is president, co-president one year, and myself the other, to make sure that we have these fine buildings. We didn't get everything right, but it was a whole lot better than it was. And I want to thank him for his leadership, his friendship throughout the years. I want to thank the mayor in his absence, county executive, Shapiro, Horgan, judges, Teodosios, both of them. Thank you for being here tonight. Judge Williams, what a blessing. What a blessing to have you in our community. Judge David Hamilton, thank you, and thank you for your brand new start. They got you working. So we want to thank you so very much. Want to thank again past presidents of OSBA, not only a board member, city council member, but past president of the Ohio School Board Association, Linda Mobian. And thank you for your tutoring and mentoring me. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thanks again, Judy Hill, NAACP, Bishop Joey Johnson, who was not able to be here, Dr. Carl Wallace, for the clergy, all of those who've helped to make sure that I was elected those 5 times, allowed me to get 300 plus signatures each time to be able to get my name on the ballot. I thank you so very much. The past and present board members, the past is sitting right there. The anchor that you're standing on, the foundation that you're standing on. Look at them and all that they've contributed, the time that they've given, the sacrifice. You're beginning that journey. And I'm praying that God would give you the same strength, the same enlightenment, the camaraderie. You may not always agree, but you agree to disagree and be agreeable with one another, to learn from each other, to appreciate the gifts and skills that each of you have. You're not alone. You're a team now, working to do the work that God has called for you to do. And so I thank God for my colleagues who worked with me in the past, and I look forward to working with those of you who were just elected and installed in whatever way God has me to give opportunity. Thank you for that. I want to thank the members of my congregation that are present, Bethel, Amy Zion Church. I want to thank the members of the Amy Zion Church who are present. If Bethel members would just stand. They came all the way from Cleveland, Ohio. Amen. The members of the Cleveland District, our missionary president, we want to thank Sister Sims for being present with us today as well. Can't say enough for the superintendents I had the opportunity to work with, Brian Williams, Sylvester Small, and then for many, many years, I got a chance to see a young man come up the ranks and then become our superintendent and provide such stellar leadership. I want to thank you because you have been an outstanding leader, and I appreciate the time. I do have one ought with you. I haven't got that cake yet. So thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
I want to thank the treasurers I've served under, Jack Pearson, and then now Ryan Pendleton. Thank you for your leadership. Every team needs a person who can guide and direct you when you don't know what to do. Ruth Ryman, Ruth Solomon, those were our go-to persons so that we can find out where we were. We want to thank them. But I especially want to thank Marilyn Clacker. We started on this journey together, and I thank you. I'm going to miss the times, the energy, the love that you shared. Thank you for all that you have given to me, that you poured into me, and I know you're going to pour it in to the new board members. So thank you so very much. I want to thank, as it's already said, all of our partners. So many wonderful partners that we've had over the years. Connexus, NGO, Key Bank, Huntington Bank, Children's Hospital, William Constantine. Want to thank him for all the Teresa Carter, Novia. Want to thank the LeBron James Family Foundation, Dr. Campbell, Sue Lacey, United Way, the Urban League, Stark State and Kent State and University of Akron, and all the many, many partners that we've developed through our college and career and academies. We thank you for all the work that you're doing and that you continue to do. And then enough can't be said for my family. I want to thank my daughter, who was my treasurer at one point, and thank her for her stewardship, her love. Thank her for her commitment to her family and to me, her father. My granddaughter, who has helped do so many wonderful things, and we're looking forward to her being in Akron Public School and Pfeiffer hopefully next year, so she can begin that tradition of being a part of the Akron Public Schools. And then I want to thank my wife. A lot of time spent traveling, not at home, scheduling our vacations on board meetings. Can we go on vacation? No, it's a board meeting. It's a special board meeting. I want to thank her flexibility to make sure that we could do the things that we needed to do, but to be there, to be very supportive, and also serve as my treasurer. So thank you so very much. Thank you all for coming out tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule to be here and to honor me. I thank you so very much for all that you continue to do. The journey's not over, it's just beginning for this board and hopefully for whatever God has for me to do. But no, my heart has always been in education, and I will continue to be a supporter of public education. I am not who I am today if it were not for public education. And two teachers who took me aside and helped guide and direct me, two of which I still keep in contact with. One named Eagle Eye Jackson, because I thought she could see in the back of her head. And another who was my music teacher and is now gone into ministry. Those two women, those two fine African-American women, strong women, who poured into this young man the courage to do what I have been able to do now. So thank you all for pouring into me the energy, the love, the encouragement. And I would hope that I've done something that has helped you along your journey. God bless you. God keep you. Emerson says, there's no limit to what can be accomplished if it doesn't matter who gets the credit. So as a leader, you are to strive not to get the credit, but to get the best out of everyone. And so I pass this gavel of leadership to you, Patrick Bravo, that God might guide, direct your every step, that he might lead you, that you might lead others, that they might perform the task, the mission that God has given to each and every one of us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, and thank you all for being patient and helping us to rejoice tonight in celebration of Reverend Dr. Curtis T. Walker, Sr. At this time, we are going to recess for a few minutes. We'd like to take some photos. We'd like to be able to offer our congratulations. and allow people to exit as they wish. But thank you again to our past board members, to our partners, to our elected officials, our judges, our council folks, the NAACP, our faith leaders in this community. Thank you all for being here tonight to help us rejoice. We're in recess. Thank you for your patience. We'll call this meeting back to order. And recognitions. Communications. Yep, sorry. Yep, assignments.
Jeff.
Thank you. All right. Getting reacclimated here. All right, here we go. I have made the following assignments for clusters. For the Bookdale cluster, wards 3 and 4, Valerie McKittrick. For East cluster, ward 10, Diana Autry. Ellett cluster, ward 6, Bruce Alexander. Firestone, ward 8, Dr. N.J. Akbar. Kenmore Garfield, wards 7 and 9, Derek Hall. North cluster, wards 1, 2, and 5, Lisa Mansfield. Specialty schools, myself. Committee assignments, legal contracts and board policy, Dr. N.J. Akbar, Bruce Alexander. Instructional policy and student achievement, Valerie McKittrick and Lisa Mansfield. Finance and capital management, Derek Hall, Diana Autry. OSBA trustee and alternate, trustee Bruce Alexander. Alternate, myself. OSBA Urban School District Advisory Network and the Council of Urban Boards of Education, representative, Dr. N.J. Akbar. Joint Board of Review includes the president and vice president, Patrick Bravo and N.J. Akbar, the superintendent, David James, Finance Committee, Derek Hall and Diana Autry, and alternates, Lisa Mansfield and Valerie McKittrick. Ford NGL Steering Committee, Valerie McKittrick, Lisa Mansfield. Establishment of our board meeting dates for 2020. Those have been included in the board packet. And on the April board meeting date, we are looking at, that was an option between the 6th and the 7th, but assuming that we do have some folks going to the National School Boards Association annual conference, we will include the 7th, Tuesday the 7th for April. I know we have some board members going, and I know we have at least one board member speaking. So we need a motion and a second to approve the board meeting schedule that was included in the board packet.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions, or discussions on the board meeting schedule? Hearing none. Do we need roll call? Just roll call, please.
Dr. Hall,
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick,
Yes.
Dr. Akbar,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Autry,
Yes.
Mr. Bravo.
Yes. All right. We've already had our recognitions this evening, but by way of communications, and because we are not doing community and school reflections, I would like to invite our student representative to the board to report out from his cluster, which is the Firestone cluster. So Luke Buckingham, if you would go ahead and report out for us, please.
Give me 1 sec, sir.
Sorry if I caught you off guard.
Sorry, my Chromebook just went to sleep. Hi, I'm Luke Buckingham. I am currently a junior at Firestone CLC. I have a few reflections about what has been happening at my school. Oh.
That'll be better. You have to speak.
My first reflection is Firestone students and teachers participated in a canned food drive in partnership with Good Neighbors from November the 11th until November the 25th. The purpose of Good Neighbors is to help families and individuals in times of crisis and in need with clothing, emergency food, and support. Students from all grade levels and many teachers participated in a class versus class canned food drive. Our school brought in a cumulative total of well over 7,000 non-perishable food items and $276. Each grade level had an assigned teacher to collect the cans during the day. The event was sponsored by the Firestone Student Council and their advisor, Mrs. Walls. My next reflection is on November the 27th, 19 International Baccalaureate students, also known as IB students, visited Woodland Methodist Church to serve dinner to over 100 less fortunate people from the city of Akron. Firestone has had a long relationship with the Woodland Methodist Church for over 22 years. IB students have taken their exam at the church in the month of May. Some of the IB students have been applying to various Ivy League schools, such as Harvard, Columbia, Princeton, and Yale. The IB program is now more inclusive, and we are making significant progress in including minority students. The advisor for the IB program is Mrs. Harrison. And last but not least, my final reflection is the Firestone Theater Department put on a play called The Revolution. It was delivered in the Firestone Black Box Theater, and it is a play about 4 French women during the Reign of Terror, and it takes place during the French Revolution. The play has received the honor of being featured in the Thespian Conference in Dublin, Ohio, on March the 27th through the 29th. Firestone is one of only 9 schools in the state that were invited to perform at the conference. The theater department is headed by Mr. Zimmerman. All in all, Firestone has a unique collective personality. The students unite behind a common goal, passion, or program. When we students have a reason to unite, we can make great change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buckingham.
Thank you.
With that, we are going to move on to the approval of the previous meeting minutes for the regular meeting, December 9th, 2019, and the special meeting minutes from December 23rd, 2019. We will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the table. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick,
Yes.
Dr. Akbar,
Yes.
Mr. Alexander,
Yes.
Ms. Autry,
Yes.
Mr. Bravo,
Yes.
Dr. Hall,
Yes.
And the superintendent's
Mr. President,
recommendations, sorry.
under personnel recommendations, there are 2 items I would like Kathy McVeigh to highlight, item 5.7 and item 5.8, which are new administrative appointments before moving approval.
Thank you. Rochelle, if you could please join me at the podium. Tonight, board members, I'd like to introduce to you Rochelle Brown Hall. Rochelle Brown Hall participated in the Cooperative Business Education Program and graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School in Youngstown. After graduating from high school, she attended Walsh University and the University of Akron, where she earned her Bachelor of Arts in Secondary Education, majoring in Social Studies. She then attended Kent State University, where she earned a master's degree in Educational Administration. She initially began her employment at Akron Public Schools as a substitute teacher and hired on as a full-time social studies teacher in 1998 at Firestone High School. She taught there for 6 years. And in 2003, she was promoted to be an assistant principal and was assigned to Ellet High School. She remained there for 3 years and then was again promoted to be a middle school principal at Goodyear Middle School, where she worked for 3 years. When Goodyear Middle School closed, Rochelle was moved to Jennings Middle School to be the principal there, where she remained for 5 years. Rochelle later requested to return back to the classroom to work with the students and did that in the 16-17 school year. She became the CBI social studies teacher at East High School and later moved to Bookdale, where she is now as an instructional specialist. Tonight, we are recommending her to be an academy principal for Bookdale COC. Congratulations.
I would just like to thank you all for this opportunity. In 2016, I stepped away from administration for personal reasons, and I am so excited to be back. We have a lot of work to do at Bookdale Middle School, and I'm up for the challenge. The kids are tired of me already. And so they are excited about my being at Bookdale, and they are excited about meeting our expectations there. So Thank you.
All right, Dr. Womack, if you could please come up. I'd like to introduce to you tonight Dr. Monica Womack, who is a high school graduate from our own Bookdale High School. Dr. Womack continued her education and earned an associate's degree in business, excuse me, a bachelor's of science and master's of science degrees in technical education from the University of Akron. She continued her education, earning her PhD in curriculum and instruction in secondary education in 2015, also from the University of Akron. Dr. Womack has presented at several conferences regarding student-teacher relationships in early college high school, understanding dual enrollment programs, pathways to completion with College Credit Plus, and improving student success throughout career communities. Her primary research focus was the early college high school and the blended learning environment associated with K-12 and higher education, along with student-teacher relationships. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Dr. Womack formerly worked for the Akron Urban League as a computer and business training program instructor for 4 years, as well as working at Stark State College as an admissions counselor, student success coach, and supervisor of the Testing and Tutoring Center for 14 plus years. Tonight, we are recommending her to be hired as a program manager for our own college and career academies. Congratulations. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to work here at Akron Public Schools. I feel like it is and has always been a part of my home. There is this saying that I've given and I've stayed true to, that education, regardless of it being the K through 12 or the college setting, we are married, we are together, and our goal is to make sure that our students are successful. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. President, I wish to recommend approval of personnel recommendations presented in categories 5 through 16.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the personnel recommendations. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Thank you. Doing the consent agenda. Consent agenda?
Yes, next, Mr. President, before recommending approval of the consent agenda, I would like Dr. Ellen McWilliams-Woods to highlight 2 items regarding our latest changes to our International Baccalaureate program.
Mr. President, I have an introduction real quick before we get started from the Instructional Policy Committee regarding the IB program. Firestone High School launched an International Baccalaureate diploma program over 25 years ago in 1995. After years of the IB diploma program being the district's only IB program, things began to change when a small group of teachers had an idea about IB as a school-wide program at the elementary and middle school years, 8 years ago. And I'm glad that Luke was here to highlight some of the things that the IB program does that's outside the academics as well. Dr. McWilliams-Woods will give more details on the evolution of IB through the Firestone cluster, but on behalf of the Instructional Policy Committee, I want to express how impressive it has been to watch this grassroots effort over the past 8 years. The IB authorization process is difficult and intensive, and our teachers and our staffs in those buildings have worked tirelessly to implement this cross-disciplinary and inquiry-based global units. The principals have supported the teachers every step of the way, and we've enjoyed getting regular updates on each of the school's progress. And I'll turn it over to Dr. McWilliams-Woods.
Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. I wanted to remind everyone the journey that we have been on through the history of our IB program at Firestone High School, which is called our diploma program, over 25 years ago. And then after the years of the diploma program being the district's only IB program, things began to change when a small group of teachers had an idea about the expansion of IB. Back in 2012, 2013, teachers from Case and Litchfield approached the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning and myself and asked us to support an investigation around elementary and middle school IB programs. In 2013-14, the next year, the teacher-led teams, they looked at all of the programs across the country and attended some informational sessions, and they presented a plan. They actually asked for a meeting with the superintendent and formally presented a plan to establish the IB primary years program at Case Elementary and the IB middle years program at the middle school. The superintendent certainly endorsed that idea, brought it to the board through the Instructional Policy Committee, and the process of it's really a 4-year process to become authorized IB. It was launched at that point. Between the fall of 2013 and the spring of 2016, Case and Litchfield worked through the process. Every candidate school must follow. They begin to transform their traditional teaching and learning styles to more of an inquiry-based classroom. Global connections become a focal point, and they also have to meet the IB requirement to have foreign language provided to the students. As Case and Litchfield worked through their 3 years of intensive training and implementation, Resnick and King also began their own exploration of becoming IB as well. At this point, the superintendent decided, let's look at all the Firestone clusters, since now King and Resnick were coming forward, and they also engaged with Portage Path, and the superintendent met with the staffs and said, do we want to make this an entire Firestone cluster that would then support that feeder program up to the high school? During 2016-17, Litchfield and Case were officially authorized after they had finished that 4-year training and intensive process, and Resnick was authorized last year. Now, 8 years after teachers reached out and asked for that consideration and support for the IB journey, we are proud to announce our 3rd elementary school and our 5th school in the district has achieved the IB primary year program world designation. And the board tonight in your consent agenda has the opportunity to accept that designation. As a result of the leadership of the superintendent, the executive director of teaching and learning, and the support of the board and the monitoring of the instructional policy committee, and the tireless efforts of the teachers, staff, administrators, parents, and community, King Community Learning Center is now an authorized IB World School, the primary years school program. I would like to invite Mrs. Mary Dean, the King CLC principal, and Mrs. Janet Lippincott, our teacher leader, IB program coordinator, to step forward. And if all of the King faculty could come and stand along the wall over there in front of all of our senior staff, just make a nice line over here. I can't say enough about the leadership team here between Janet Lippincott and Mrs. Dean, as well as the tireless work of the faculty at King. I would love to have Mrs. Dean introduce who she brought with her tonight, and then say a few words.
Well, I want to point out, first of all, we're authorized once I get 2 signatures. And this team is going to bar the doors. Mr. Bravo, Mr. James will not leave until we have ink on the paper. But other than that, but yes, the one thing with IB, so many things, but the thing is teamwork and collaboration, and none of this would have happened without all of the people that are standing there and representing the other teachers that are back at the building. Mrs. Lippincott stepped out of the classroom, and she is our IB coordinator, certainly leads us all. And going from left to right, Mr. Hoffman, our intervention teacher. Ms. Porter is one of our 4th grade teachers. Mrs. Hayes, our art teacher. Ms. Priest, our instructional coach. Mrs. Tabata, our 5th grade teacher. Ms. Huffman, kindergarten teacher. Ms. Riccuti is our PTA president. Certainly parents have been a big part of this program. Mrs. Fiora, 3rd grade teacher, Ms. Frohnapple, 5th grade teacher, and Mr. Petrek, our Dean of Students this year. And like I said, they represent all those back there, but publicly just can't say it could not happen without each of you and all your hard work. So thank you very much.
Mr. Bravo, can you just stand? We'll get a quick picture.
And I did sign it just now.
Who's got a camera here? Sorry, I don't know.
So while they're doing that, I just would like to ask a question. So does this mean that none of you can ever leave King School now? You're all, because I saw your tears, right? Your tears of joy as you walked up, right? I mean, so this has been a long journey. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this. And so when you see that kind of emotion being on display, it really grabs me, and it just makes me want to say, like, you can't ever leave King, right?
Well, I'll correct you because as we have learned, all of the skills we have developed are good for children everywhere.
Yep.
And there is nothing that we're not doing or haven't been driven to do that we would not want to encourage or work with kids in many ways.
Which
not
leads to-
just because the Ivy League.
Which leads to my next question, which was, so obviously, as I was talking to some of you offline, I think this is fantastic. I can't wait for Portage Path to do this as well. My question really from leadership in APS is there a plan that we would expand this out to other clusters as well down the road? Is there a calendar or whatnot as to, that we would be utilizing? Because again, this is a great example, and I think it's great for Firestone cluster. But my question would be, is there a plan underway to think about how we expand this into other clusters as well?
So I won't commit that right now, but we never do anything in isolation. So to get all these guinea pigs to do it, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to approach other clusters and talk about that expansion. And as we work with the board to go through a strategic plan for the district, that's one of the things that we'll be bringing out.
Okay, sounds great. Congratulations.
Thank you. We do have, as King is sitting down, and we knew this was going to be a very busy board meeting date, but because of the need for the signature and then our second announcement, you'll understand why we had to do it tonight. We have a second announcement regarding our IB work. Portage Path Community Learning Center, as I mentioned, they also came into the fold for the IB transition and kind of transformation into an IB authorized school. So Portage Path has been working diligently for the past 3 years through the stages of the IB authorization process, which is very rigorous in terms of training and implementation and meeting all the benchmarks that IB puts forth. Tonight, the Portage Path, we're proud to announce that they have submitted, upon your approval tonight, the comprehensive application now to be considered formally an authorized IB school. The process is you submit the application after all of this intensive 3 years of work and coaching from IB, and then there will be a site visit probably in the late spring or early fall, but do we know late spring or early fall? Late spring, and then we'll find out, hopefully we will be back in the fall, and Portage Path will be our next authorized school. So can I have Kim Summers come on up, and Jill Holcomb come on up too, who is the teacher leader, the IB coordinator for the building. And Mrs. Summers is gonna recognize a very important student council representative from Portage Path.
Absolutely. We are so excited to be here tonight, and I can't wait to introduce all of our wonderful teachers. This is Maya Brooks. She is our Vice President of Student Council. She is here tonight representing our student body at Portage Path, and then we have her family back there and her mom. She's representing our families. Definitely, we've all been collaborating, and I just want to say if we ride on the heels of extraordinary work from the high school to Litchfield and Resnick case in King, and in collaboration with all the wonderful teachers and all of the hard work of our teachers and our IB coordinator, Jill Holcomb, we are so excited that we are ready to send in our application with your permission.
And Portage Path
Come on over,
faculty
guys.
and representatives, come on up.
They were trying to hide.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because we got our shirts on.
I know.
So, marvelous teachers, starting with Mrs. Morgan, second grade at Portage Path. Mrs. Corrali, she is our instructional coach. Mrs. Wynn, first grade. Mrs. Mason, fourth grade. Miss Davidson, she is one of our Title I tutors. And Mrs. Taylor Clark, first grade. And Mr. P, who did a quick t-shirt change, our Dean of Students. And this is our wonderful Portage Path. Thank you so much for letting us join you tonight.
There you go.
1, 2, 3.
And with that, Mr. President, I wish to recommend approval of the resolutions and motions presented in Category 21.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion?
If I could just go back for just a second, this question came up when we first did the case and Litchfield authorization a few years back too, and this was definitely a teacher-led initiative when it started. So this one was a groundswell from the bottom up, and the board and the superintendent definitely support this going across the district. We've talked about it many times in instructional policy. One of the things that Luke mentioned was an increase in diversity in the IB program. One of the reasons that I think that you're going to really see that in the coming years with this implementation in the elementary schools and in the middle schools is that so many students don't think they can do IB. They get to Firestone and they think they're jumping into something they've never heard of it. Maybe their families have never heard of it. But if you're hearing about it from pre-K on up, then it's not so intimidating to do the graduate program, the diploma program. So that's why it's so encouraging, I think, and I think that we need to, again, encourage from the top down as well. But kudos to our teachers for taking these initiatives. And then really quick, because there were so many great things. Did you guys see all the donations in the donations, especially that came in around the holidays? Plus, there were a lot of fantastic grants and other things that were given to our students and to our district. There was, I don't want to go through all of them because I know I'll miss one, but just a few. Nova. Another congratulations to Dr. James because we're accepting the $5,000 for Project Learn through his Lieberth Award win. The partnership with the Cleveland Browns for the Get to School campaign, the $5,000 from the First Catholic Slovak Ladies for North Hill. $10,000 from the Buckeye Credit Union. I mean, just amazing donations, especially that were around the I Promise School with the LeBron James Family Foundation, and then also around Project Rise. We do what we do as a district because of our community, not in spite of it. So a huge thanks to everyone who gave, not just the holidays, but it just seems to happen a lot more. And then lastly, my brain just went blank. But, if you want to see all those, Mr. Williamson does a fantastic job day after the meeting of doing a Facebook post that rotates all those through, putting them on our website. So for the community who wants to see what all those great donations were, you can see that tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments, questions, or discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Business affairs recommendations?
Mr. President, I wish to recommend approval of the business affairs recommendations presented in Category 23.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the business affairs recommendations. Any comments, questions, or discussions on business affairs? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
Two items I'd just like to make reference to. At a previous board meeting, we had Mr. Paul Tamarios come in and talk about a sculpture that he would like to place on the grounds at Resnick, CLC, honoring one Judy Resnick. And now I just had a brain freeze on the other one. Jean Hicks. Who was one of a group of female, actually, Mercury astronauts who were trained. She was actually a pilot and taught at Forest Hill Elementary School back in the day. You know, at the time we did some research, and there's a gas line that's going in by Dominion. And at the time we heard that we couldn't put a sculpture there because of that gas line. Well, Mr. Tamarios, having the connections that he had, spoke to Dominion. It looks like they're going to move the line a little bit so that sculpture can be put in place. Between the new board member orientation, our next board meeting, I'll provide some information to you all, so you'll see that, and then hopefully we can decide whether we're going to move forward with that or not. The second item is, as many of you are aware, that at the I Promise School, they've been collecting donations to construct a gym addition to the building. I did last year review those plans with the board in one of our meetings. So there has been some changes because of a sewer line that's been present. So I'm working with them to get some change in the drawings. Just going to move the gym just a little bit. But between the board orientation and the next meeting, I should have more information on that, including a timeline and how that work could be phased. And I'll be sharing that. I'm hopeful at the next board meeting as well.
For President's report, I don't have much today other than to say thank you. Thank you for your support, and thank you for all of the conversation that we had between the election and now. I really appreciate getting to spend some time talking to each of you. I look forward to working with each of you. I look forward to serving with you. I'm really excited about everything that we have on the plate this year. And we will look at scheduling some time for a board retreat for us to get away and do a little team building, and we'll get some dates and stuff lobbied back and forth with everyone, and an agenda put together so we can get that coordinated. But we'd probably look to do that maybe even in the February timeframe. So we'll get that out as soon as possible. Treasurer's report.
No report.
Committee reports, legal contracts and board policy.
Yes, we have 3 policies, which will be the second reading, and we have one that will be a third reading and hopefully get approved this evening. We have policy 2450, adult and community education, which is a second reading. Policy 5350, student mental health and suicide prevention, which is a second reading. Policy 7440.03, small unmanned aircraft system, which is a second reading. And we have for our third and final reading, policy 5113.02, school choice options. And I wish to see a motion for the third reading of that one.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any unfinished business? Any new business?
Yes, Mr. President, there is an item under new business, and it is a memorandum of understanding with the Akron Education Association regarding our college and career academy program at high schools. In the memorandum of understanding, it addresses the following items: our scheduling module, development of the schedule, workload, lunch periods for our teachers, our professional learning community meetings, our various academic team meetings, and the schedule of athletic coaches. And a copy of the MOU was provided along with the Dear Board member letter.
All right, so for the College and Career Academies of Akron MOU with AEA for the 2020-2021 school year, do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Again, thank you all so much for your patience. I know it's been a long meeting, but it's longer for the rest of us. So we do have a need pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G5 for the purposes of considering matters required to be kept confidential by federal or state law or regulations or statutes to go into recess into executive session. I am looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to recess into executive session. Are there any further comments, questions, or discussion before we do so? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Hall?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. McKittrick?
Yes.
Dr. Akbar?
Yes.
Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Autry?
Yes.
Mr. Bravo?
Yes. We will recess into executive session, but we will come back. We will come back shortly to vote on at least one item, correct?
Yes. Yeah, one item.